So what if you could give every AI its own personal coach? That's the big idea behind this really cool new framework called ToolBrain. It's all about taking these super powerful but sometimes kind of clumsy AI agents and training them to become truly skilled and reliable performers. Let's dive in and see how they pull it off.
To really get what ToolBrain is doing, we've got to start with a metaphor. So picture this. Think of modern AI agents, the ones that can use tools like search or other APIs as these incredibly gifted natural-born athletes. I mean, they've got all the raw talent in the world, blazing fast computational power, access to tons of information, but potential is it's absolutely massive. But here's the catch, right? What happens when you've got all that incredible talent but zero guidance? No strategy, no playbook, no training. Well, that's when things can start to get a little messy. Okay, so let's meet this talented but pretty clumsy athlete. We're about to see firsthand what happens when a powerful AI is basically just left to figure things out on its own. So here's the game plan for our agent. The goal seems simple enough. Answer a question like, hey, when is Shari's move to Portland? Using this huge email database. But look at the tools it has. Just two basic commands, one to search for emails and another to read a specific email. The real challenge isn't just knowing the moves, it's learning the strategy, how to string those two simple moves together to actually win. And here's what happens on its first try, with no coach. The agent tries to get all fancy, writing this complex bit of code, and it just faceplants. It makes a basic syntax error, a rookie mistake. The result? Total failure. It gets a reward score of 0. Nothing. It didn't get a single step closer to the answer. All that potential and absolutely zero execution. Okay, so our athlete needs some help. Big time. It's time to bring in the coach. This is where the real training is going to begin. And this is ToolBrain. At its core, it's a framework built on this simple but really powerful idea called the coach-athlete paradigm. The coach's only job is to run the training session while the athlete, that's our AI agent, can just focus on doing the task. This separation is so key because it makes the whole process way more efficient. The coaching itself is this elegant little two-step loop. First, the coach just sits on the sidelines and watches. It records every single thing the athlete does, creating this detailed log, kind of like game film. Then it reviews that film, scores the performance, and uses that very specific feedback to update the athlete's playbook for the next go-around. You observe, and then you teach. Simple as that. But how exactly does this coach teach? Well, it turns out it has a very, very smart playbook. Let's crack it open and see what's inside. What's really cool is that ToolBrain gives you two flexible ways to give feedback. On one hand, you can write your own specific rules, like a coach telling the player, hey, you get extra points for being efficient. But for more complicated tasks, where the rules aren't so black and white, you can bring in an expert judge, which is actually another AI, to just rank a few attempts from best to worst. This gives you really nuanced feedback without having to spell out every single little thing. Now, this might be my favorite play in the whole book. It's called knowledge distillation. Think of it like a rookie athlete who gets to study hours and hours of game film from a seasoned pro, a Hall of Famer. A more powerful teacher AI shows exactly how it's done. Our student agent studies those perfect examples, and boom, the rookie gets this huge head start before it even starts its own practice. And trust me, this playbook is deep. The coach can automatically invent new training drills on the fly. It can intelligently pick out only the most relevant tools for a task so the agent doesn't get overwhelmed. And it uses these powerful optimizations, things like QLoRa and Unsloth, which are basically just clever ways to make the training super fast and efficient. So efficient, in fact, you can run this on standard hardware, not just some giant supercomputer. So we get it. The coaching is smart. But here's the million-dollar question. Does it actually work? Let's get to the results and see the transformation from a clumsy rookie into a seasoned pro. The numbers here really do speak for themselves. Before any training, this 7 billion parameter agent, which is a pretty capable model to begin with, had just a 13.3% success rate. That's not great. But after only 60 training steps with ToolBrain, its correctness shot up to 43.3%. That's more than a 3x improvement in a crazy short amount of time. And you can see the difference in how it plays the game now. Look at this successful run. No more syntax errors, no more fumbling. The agent executes this clean, logical two-step play. First, it searches with the right keywords. It gets an ID back. Second, it uses that ID to read the exact email it needs. And finally, it pulls out the correct answer. It didn't just get better randomly, it actually learned the strategy. And hey, remember that whole watching game film technique? Well, check this out. This chart shows just how powerful it is. The agent that got to learn from a pro first didn't just learn faster, it also reached a much higher and more stable level of performance. It just goes to show that for an AI, just like for an athlete, a good warm-up can be a total game changer.
So the results are crystal clear. The coaching absolutely works. But what does this all mean for the bigger picture? Let's zoom out a bit and really understand why this whole approach matters so much for the future of AI.
This quote from the research paper really gets to the heart of it all. See, the goal of ToolBrain isn't just to build one smart agent. It's about making the process of building smart, specialized agents easier for everybody. It's about lowering that barrier to entry so more people can use these powerful training techniques. So if you're going to take just one thing away from all this, let it be this. ToolBrain makes this whole process of iterative, experience-driven improvement accessible. It takes that very human idea of trial, error, feedback, and learning, and it packages it into a practical tool that pretty much anyone can use to build better, more capable AI. Which leaves us with this final, pretty mind-blowing question. We've just seen what a good coach can do for one AI on one task. So what happens when every single specialized AI out there has its own world-class coach, constantly helping it learn, adapt, and improve 24/7? That's the future that a framework like ToolBrain is helping to build.